this stuff. I had an opportunity to revisit the transmitter side of this based on the fact that when I originally put it on the air a while back, I didn't have full documentation. But I may have mentioned this already, but with thanks to the ham community up in Canada, between the gentleman in British Columbia who provided some rudimentary information from a training course that someone attended back during WW2 to maintain these radios. And then months later, Jacques up in Montreal, Quebec, who furnished an original proof to some gentlemen in the United Kingdom who made a really nice PDF, so it does live on royalsignals.org.uk, so there's a nice PDF for the transmitter. I revisited that this past week, took care of a few issues like lack of grid drive, etc. I think I enhanced the audio a little bit. It is screen modulated, puts out a mighty 4 watts of carrier, at least in its present hamster configuration. So that's the setup here. Great to be here. And over to Ron. Welcome back, Ron. I'm glad you're doing well in other areas other than signal and noise ratio. NU6F, W7MS.
Okay, I think I got it. Not sure. Holy cow. This is brutal, guys. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to put up with this. I may just be in and out. Anyhow, NU6F with a new hip and a new radio. I'm on a PRC 174 Chatteran serial 2362 through the amp and running about 100 watts. And even on the loop, on the mag loop, I cannot get rid of this noise. It is 15 to 20 over S9. I can just tell when you guys are in there, but that's about it. So anyhow, I think I'm going to listen out, and good hearing you guys in there, and hopefully I'll find out what the heck the latest neighborhood RFI generator is. Wow. Okay, take it away, Brown. W1NZR, NU6F. Listening out.
Okay, Ron, very good. I copied you quite well. Sorry you're experiencing the unfortunate interference there. I hope it goes away soon, but it probably won't if it's Christmas light. Anyway, good to hear you, and I guess you've recently returned from the Azores, so welcome back to the United States. I wonder how your Azores project is going. I'd like to check that out sometime. It's a lovely part of the world. Haven't been there in quite a few years. Anyway, good morning to all. And Henry, very good morning to you. The W6 MIT rig sounds wonderful over here in Dixon. I wonder what exactly that is, tube lineup, etc., but it sounds beautiful. And yeah, very happy to be in here. It's been at least a month and a half, I think, or more since I've checked in. So very happy to be here. I'm running the ARC 94 labeled 618P this morning. Although I am using the URM 157 test set to make the whole system quite convenient and strap all this together without having to do all of the intricate wiring, which I have done on another set that's back east, but that's a large amount of work. Anyway, into just the usual random wire here, and I keep threatening to do antenna improvements out here in Dixon, but I haven't gotten that round to it. Just too much time on less important things, but very happy to be here. I'll probably fire up the T195 for the next round. I don't, as propagation changes. Although this is putting out a good solid 100 watts of carrier, but I know that it's pseudo AM, and I am running the Wonder handheld Telex carbon mic, the same microphone I had originally in my Cessna 172. I've been meaning to use a David Clark headset with this, but I have to get a TR switch interface because you can't just plug the headset into the transmitter without a mic switch, which the DCs don't have. Anyway, signals are pretty good so far, but we'll keep it going. Mike, nice to hear that RCAF set. Very, very nice indeed. I've seen a couple of those in captivity, but never heard one on the air. So you get a little gold star this morning. And Chuck, the TCS sounds great. Even on 20 watts, you were doing well, at least over here into Dixon. Okay, enough from me. Over to Bill, N6BTV and the net from W1NZR.
Instead of just run 6 Bravo fans doing it every day, and they're still running the same old thing. You see up there in the green. And then I talked to John last week, and he's saying that headphones for guys and hearing the music and stuff like that on the TV. So he hopes that Sven Banks can go over and get the weapon so that he can listen to you guys. So that's the story there. Hearing is very bad. That's the other thing. But it is there on the telephone. That's really good. Anyway, so that's the story here. And we had the temperature is about 48 degrees this morning. And every day. So it's over to W6S, S6P, and Bravo Tango.
Okay, thank you, Bill. N6BCT, this is W6SSP. Good morning, one and all, on a crisp winter morning. This is Steve, just north of San Rosa, running the classic column setup, 32V1 transmitter, 7501 receiver, about 85 watts out, into a bar pole 30 feet up, and D104 microphone. Well, it's been an interesting week here. I picked up 2 batches of projects this week, mostly military. I won't get into that now. I'll save that for the second round, but it was one of those sad situations where an older ham was cleaning out a storage unit, and an awful lot of stuff got thrown away. According to him, thousands and thousands of tubes. And the one that really kicked me in the stomach was a Johnson Thunderbolt amplifier that got sent to metal scrap. What a shame. I don't know what else. I think he saw the look on my face after he mentioned that one and didn't say anymore. But picked up a bunch of stuff, and anyway, all set for the winter now. Let's see, over to Bob, W6AQU, W6SSP.
And then U6F is back.
Okay, thanks, Steve. W6SST, W6AQU. Oh, good morning to all. All stations are loud and clear over here, receiving on an A4. And single 3500Z here, couple hundred watts. Yes, winter has arrived. Got our first snow yesterday morning. And actually it's warmer this morning though, for some reason. I mean, like 40 degrees, that's pretty warm now. Well, not a heck of a lot is new. We have been going through the shed looking for some command transmitters. We found some ARC 5s, but no SCR 274s. So I am looking for some more in the transmitters, the 274Ms. And I have an ART-13 that I'd like to trade off, maybe, for some of that stuff. All right. Down there's a Dave. I wonder how the antenna situation is going down there. And are you still working them on 160? W6MQI from W6AQU.
W6AQU, W6MQI. Yeah, good morning, Bob and everybody else. All stations are sounding good here in Livermore. Let's see, yeah, the rig here is the ART-13 with a D104 microphone, and we're listening on my R390A receiver. And the antenna is an inverted V up at around 50 feet or so. So that's pretty good. And yeah, conditions here are pretty good. It's too bad some of you guys are being affected by local noise. It's pretty quiet around here. And to answer Bob's questions about 160, yes, 160's been good too. I couldn't sleep last night. Got up around 3 o'clock, made some coffee, said, what the heck, I'm going to go out there and see what's on 160 meters. Came out here and was here in JA's and Okinawa, and I worked Samoa on 160, so the inverted L is worked beyond my expectations, working really well. Kind of waiting, not a contest here, but I'm kind of waiting for one of those contests on 160 and kind of see what the antenna can actually do. My radial field tends to be kind of half moon shaped, goes from west to east. I do have a couple going out towards the north, but not much. I got my houses in the way, so I don't have much in the way of a radial field out towards the north, but I am working stations to the north. And Steve, yeah, I had a friend who was a ham. He's a solid key now, and luckily I got a few things. I just don't have room here, and I don't want to store a lot of stuff as well. But so I grabbed a few things from his estate. But I saw a lot of nice stuff go in a dumpster, just sickening. A pristine Johnson Ranger and National HRO 60 with all the plug-ins. I just kept going back and forth about that National, but I just couldn't make it work. So anyway, yeah, that's sickening to see stuff like that. Really too bad. And weather here, yeah, it's warm, 45 or so degrees right now. We had a little bit of, when I came out yesterday morning to get 160 meters, the ground was wet, had a little bit of drizzle, but no rain. No rain here. I guess the northwest is getting hammered pretty good. But that's the lowdown here. So I guess I'm last around. Back to Henry, WA7YBS, W6MQI.
Well, okay, Dave, W6MQI, WA7YBS. Very good on all. Good copy on everybody. Ron's back. Make a short transmission there, Ron. Tell us what happened at NU6F. Turn it back to me, WA7YBS. Go ahead.
I found the enemy, and the enemy is us. Oh, okay. It was so loud I could not believe it. And then I remembered I have a battery charger on the motorcycle out in the garage that is a horrendous 75, 80 meter noise generator. But I've got it on a timer. I have it only coming on from 2 o'clock till 6 o'clock in the morning or so. Well, I forgot we had a power outage this week. So it skipped a couple hours. And I said, gee, it's so loud, I can't believe it. And then, I wonder, sure enough, I saw the lights on underneath the motorcycle, and I unplugged it, came in. Oh, yeah, I copy everybody just fine now. And I also, yeah, like I was saying, I got the new hip here 12 days ago, and boy, I don't know, the jury is out. It's less brutal than the first hip was, but all I can say is thank God we only have 2 hips and not 3. I wouldn't want to do it again. But yeah, anyhow, we're on the uphill side. I should be able to get around better than a week or so. But yeah, I had a visitor the other day, WA6BZX, Jeff from down in Novato. He knows Tom, OPE. Anyhow, I talked to him quite a while for a couple of years on CW. We have a couple of things in common, and he and the wife were up to Tahoe, and yeah, amongst other things, I was interested in one of the radios he had. He's got a couple of those little PRC 174s from Israel, and anyhow, and I says, yeah, maybe you want to part with one. So he did, and he came by and visited. The cool thing is that he mostly, well, he wanted to see the RAK, the RAL, and the TDE. He was a radioman on the Blenny, one of the last World War II diesel subs. He was on it from 67 to 69, and anyhow, of course, it had the newer gear. He saw the R390s. Well, that's what I remember, but I saw pictures of the RAK and the RAL and something that looked like the TDE on our boat back in the day beforehand. So he was just tickled pink. So I fired it up, and he worked some CW on the TDE. So it was a fun visit. And yeah, so I also am pseudo AM with the PRC. The nice thing about this is that it's one of the few field sets that's got a narrow CW in it. So it's got a pretty decent little CW 2 to 30 meg rig too. Anyhow, so with that, back up to Henry. Thanks. And WA7YBS.
Okay, Ron, very good. And yeah, our own houses are always the source of noise usually. Me, it's the heater. Modulated speed controls on heaters, pretty distinctive sound. A distinctive sound, not really terrible interference, but I sure can hear it. So anyway, and that's out in the shop, and the antenna's probably 150 feet away from the house, and I can still hear it. So anyway, very good on that. Let's see if there's anybody else that wants to get in here on the tail end of the first round. Number 9 is open. If you want to check in, do it now.
W6JRY.
Well, there's Jerry. W6JRY. Go ahead and make a transmission, Jerry. You're number 9. Turn it back to me. WA7YBS. Go ahead.
Okay. Very good morning, WA7YBS and the group W6JRY. Very good morning to everybody there. It's been missed a few times here. With a variety of things taking up my time here and whatnot. So just kind of got down here. It's pretty cold here in this campsite down here. Getting kind of in the winter time. So we had some rain. 55 degrees here in the shack. It's about maybe 48 degrees outside, and not a lot of rain, but just enough to wet things around the place, and fog. Can't even see across the road to the neighbors here this morning. Anyway, saw the usual here this morning is the ATD ART13 and RBM receiver, and kept busy by being chief cook and bottle washer around here. The XYL's had some falls and some problems and so on, so trying to learn to cook all over again that I'm not used to. So anyway, back up there to you, Henry. WA7YBS in the group, W6JRY.
Okay, Jerry. W6JRY, WA7YBS. Vintage Military Radio Net. Let's see if there's anybody else out there that wants to check in. Number 10 is open, first round. And if you want to get in on the first round, check in. Well, do it now. Go ahead. Okay. Nothing heard. So, well, very good on all. Everybody has good signals. And, it's hard to pick out one that's top dog, but other than Chuck. Chuck's only a couple miles away, so he's always pinning the... It's a good thing I have an attenuator on the Ray-Cal. So anyway, good signals from lots of stations. And Brown, the W6 MIT transmitter is the big rig, what John used to call the big rig. It's a 4-250A modulated by a pair of 572Bs, and it's in a 4-foot tall relay rack, enclosed cabinet type relay rack, and it looks like a miniature broadcast transmitter. 2,000 volts on the plate of the 4-250A and 1,500 volts on the 572B plates. And so John used an external speech amp deal that he made up for broadcast equipment and one of those high-priced Macintosh amplifiers. So what I did, that was all missing when I got the transmitter. The transmitter was minus everything that was external to it. And so I used a Bogan CT100B PA amplifier, and it runs 100 watts and has 6 channels, and it has a built-in compressor and a built-in where you can adjust all the frequencies and stuff like that. I'll think of what it was called, but I can't remember right now. But anyway, it's got all its stuff in a package that is not of any interest to any audiophiles. And so those Bogans are very, very cheap. And so cheap that I bought 2 of them. And so anyway, that's the rundown on the W6 MIT transmitter. It's a gem. It's a good one. And there's an article, a complete write-up on my website about the W6 MIT transmitter. Plus, if you really want to be punished, you can go to John N9AMI's Wavelength Radio YouTube channel, and you can watch a video of me, doing a dissertation and showing it, show and tell type thing on the W6 MIT transmitter. So anyway, that's the rundown on that. The dogfight, where we're going to have everybody check in with aviation gear, kind of like how the ART-13 roundup was, and like the BC-375 shootout. We're going to have the aviation radio dogfight, and that's going to be run anything aviation, commercial, military, doesn't matter. Whatever it is, if it was on an airplane, run it. And the dogfight is going to be on January 28th, last Sunday in the month of January. So you have a lot of time to get something ready for the dogfight, the aviation radio dogfight, January 28th. So with that, let's go ahead and start round 2. Got one more thing to mention, I guess, as far as projects, because round 2 is usually where we mention the products. It's Meissner Mania here. I'm working on a Meissner Traffic Scout, and that was a pretty good super heterodyne kit that Meissner put out in 1940. And it's this one, it's a miracle, because as we all know, kits were about the first things that were parted out, first things that were modified, parts robbed off of them. This Traffic Scout survived 80 plus years with no modifications that required any holes being drilled. It's in immaculate condition as far as the physical. As far as the wiring and components inside, well, that's a different story, but the main part is that from the outside, wonderful. Inside, well, needs a little bit of putting back to original. But anyway, the Meissner Mania is ongoing here, and it's going to involve my signal shifter, my Meissner signal shifter. We're going to see if we can pair up the Traffic Scout and the signal shifter together and put out a big 10-watt CW signal. So that's the rundown on the project there. Let's go ahead and start round 2. Out to Chuck, K0, DWC, WA7, YBS. Go ahead.
Okay, Henry. All right, very good. Yeah, I remember when you had your Meissner signal shifter,
on many years ago, you were talking to somebody in Arizona on 7 watts. I remember that. I thought that was pretty neat, you know. Of course, I got one too, and I think I made a contact with mine on my signal shifter as well. But, you know, my very first contact ever in ham radio was on CW, when I was with Henry. But anyway, I got the QSL card to prove it, so very proud of that. But anyway, Brian, thank you for that signal report with me being on 20 watts. I wasn't sure how far I was getting out with 20 watts. But if I can get over to Dixon, I think I could probably pretty much get over to the coast there. So thank you for that. And I want to say good morning to Jerry. Jerry, you got a really good signal in here this morning. I hope you're doing well, and give Sharon our very best. I hope she's okay, and hopefully she'll recover and be fine. So we'll be thinking about y'all. So anyway, glad you're here this morning, Jerry. Like I said, you're sounding good. Mike, the AT7 sounds fantastic. Ron, I'm glad you got your problem cleared up there. I'm glad it was just something silly. So you're back with us again, and that's always a plus. Bob, the R94 sounded fantastic. I can't wait to see if you've gone to the T195 yet. I've got you listed down here already for two separate sets. So, Carl, let me tell you hello to everybody. So she had it from the kitchen. She's making breakfast. So anyway, Carl was surprised to hear Brian on this morning. Brian's got 4 more days before he goes back to the East Coast. So I was high on the Carla. But anyway, glad Brian's here. Bill sounding good. Steve, you got a great signal in here. Bob, big signal. Dave, big signal. Jerry, big signal. And I want to say good morning to John, W6MIT, if he's listening. I hope you're doing well, John. And I want to wish you, Carla, I want to wish you the very best up there in Oregon. And hope you're doing well. Projects here, I'm still messing with the SCR 193 set. The transmitter leveling, the station's fine. I found my RM12 remote for this thing. And it's a combination deal. It's got a magneto in it for a field phone and a receiver on top and big meter in the middle, and then it's got provisions for mics and CW keys and stuff at the bottom. I'm going to mess with that a little bit and see if I can get that working. I think I had it working once before many years ago, but this thing only wants to partially work. I got to find out what the dope is on that. But hopefully, within a month, I'll be able to run this SCR 193 set through this RM12 remote. So we'll find out soon enough, I guess. And I was looking, I dug up an R5 set, BC454B, all black wrinkle furnace with the dynamotor, and the dynamotor works. So it's a Western Electric Signal Corps U.S. Army, yeah. I want to mess with that a little bit, I think, here today and get that running. I've had that running before, and it ran really well. So, I don't know, I might set Big Rod up and listen to that, too, when we have our special event there. So anyway, enough out of me, and we will send it over to Mike, W7MS, in the group, K0DWC.
Well, okay, Chuck. K0DWC and the great group here at W7MS. Great reception from all. And good morning to Jerry. Thanks for joining us. I realize that quite often during the winter months it's just too cold to operate. So we're in a kind of a warm season here, and I guess also maybe a lull in personal activities. So great to hear you this morning. And W7MS Mike in Reno, if I forgot that one. And welcome back, Ron, on direct. Glad Dr. Heal myself. Well, I guess that was an easy one by before I forget it, congratulations on the PRC 174. And that raises the ears and interest. I know of at least myself and Dave on frequency with our PRC 5105/R20/RU20s. Since what they have in common was both domestically designed and attempted to produce, and essentially were licensed through overseas manufacturer, even though the PRC 515 did live in the Canadian MOD, I guess, is the R20, at least in limited quantities. So good job. We'll have to have a shootout here between the YPA, the Yugoslav People's Army, and the Israeli Defense Forces. Since they're very similar radios that didn't really go anywhere with our DoD. But congratulations on that great story and the fact that you've mentioned this guy, I think, in the past. So good on that. And of course, great to hear Brown. Well, we don't want to forget Chuck here before my memory fades, since I'm not working off of notes. Good deal on the projects here and the excitement of looking at the dogfight here in January. But I think with that, I've got maybe they're lost in the pile, but I think I've got 7 or maybe 8 possibilities for aircraft radios here that I can throw in there. Maybe there'll be one more, that RCA AT-15A AVR-20 combination that I've been pondering. But it's great to have Brown here on the West Coast. Great signal, and I think he's probably preheating the other equipment. Bill's doing fine, actually. Q5 in Reno. Congratulations, Steve, on the finds there and the rescue. Bob, I kind of wonder if you got some of that gear locally. There was somebody up on the 40-meter swap net sometime in the last few weeks when I listened, who was pitching some command set material. Dave, great on 160DX. I'm extremely jealous, but then again, that was countered by letting that fine equipment go to the dumpster. Where is the capitalist in Dave there? Most of us would at least save it to take to the swap meet, so maybe there were some ethics violations on your end. You didn't want to do that. And again, good morning to Jerry. And Henry's projects there. I was chuckling at Chuck's comments and Henry's comments on the Meissner signal shifter. I had the same experience way back in the ancient era, like in the 70s, working somebody in Portland on CW with the Meissner signal shifter, or in that era, known as the Meissner TVI generator. I think I rescued mine from a landfill over in Lockwood, beautiful downtown Lockwood, Nevada. When that was a private dump, they would call some of the goodies out from the pile and set it aside for resale. I think it cost me $1, and I have no idea where it is, but maybe it lives on in the Dayton area. It's hard to say. And speaking of estate sales, there was a freebie giveaway in North Highlands there in the Sacramento area that was widely publicized. But there was an ART-13B, some other military equipment, a bunch of tubes, and that started yesterday morning. But if it was local, I may have done a drive-by, but having experienced those things in the past, I can only imagine the line out the door and the bad vibes that I would create internally when I saw those vacuum tubes go to an eBay reseller. But hard to say, but still awaiting reports from the North Highlands Estate giveaway. But with that, maybe if there is a round 3, we'll talk about projects. But in the meantime, over to Ron for a short one. Right, Henry? NU6F W7MS.
Okay, good deal, Mike. And I was going to say the same thing. Wow, Dave, that's pretty amazing. I got up at 4 o'clock this morning from the hip. I'm not getting much sleep, but if I came out and red listed on 160, why, I wouldn't hear anything here. So, yeah, the last of the 160 meter days were up when I was up there by Gold Run. I used to be able to do pretty good on 160 from there. But around here, even 80 meters is pretty bad with all of the RFI from around. And Jerry, okay on being chief cook and bottle washer. Yeah, it's good to be cross-trained. And I was going to say 10 meters is about the only thing I've been able to work here lately. I was up to it, and that's been kind of fun with all the openings on. And Brown, yeah, the Azores trip was great as usual. 1,000,001 stories, a lot of stuff done, but not much physically done because of the problems with the hip. But I knew when I came back I'd get the new one. So next year we will be stacking more rocks on the other project. Okay, with that, down to Brown in Dixon where there are no rocks. WNNZR and U6F.
Okay, Ron, very, very good. Make sure we're operating here properly. Radio. NU6F and the MIL-RAD net W1NZ are returning now on the T195. And very good morning to Jerry joining us. All signals quite good here. Quite good indeed. And pretty good conditions. Henry, thank you very much for the update on the W6 MIT rig. Sounds wonderful. It really sounds great out over here. And yeah, maybe I'll punish myself and go on the website and read the rest of it. They're very good on the Meisners. Yes, and I guess Mike mentioned the Meisner TVI generator, also known as the Meisner signal drifter. I have a Meisner 150B that I just probably 6-8 months ago, I moved from Rhode Island down to the new North Carolina location, and I have yet to put it back on the air, but I'm looking forward to doing so. And that's a large ART-13, really, a pair of 811s modulating a single 813, but it's a wonderful rig, affectionately known when I was at Johnny Novice as the Coffin by a couple of my owners who had them. Anyway, so looking forward to that. Let's see, what else? Steve, sorry to hear about all those things ending up in the dumpster, but diseased minds want to know what went in the dumpster. So you can tell us about that, or at least what you acquired. And also, Henry, thank you for mentioning the aviation radio shootout. I will try to engineer being out here for something and have work pay for it and get on with, as Mike says, I have the 618 and there's probably a couple other things I could put together to participate in that. That sounds like a great deal of fun and a fun thing to look forward to. Okay, enough from me. Down to Bill. N6BCT and the MIL-RAD net from W1NZ.
Bravo, Tango. Oh boy. SDA receiver stopped working for me. So I have to redo it. But I think that's possible everybody do that, so there's no problem there. Anyway, I will talk to John and this afternoon and find out whether he's got his hearing problem straightened out for the radio. He got it straightened out for the TV, but he said when somebody was going to come by, and he didn't know how to get a hold of him, so he had to wait for them to come by and see whether they can do it or not. Anyway, so that's the story there. Let's go into let me just look up. Bravo 7 Tango, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Bill. N6BCT, W6SSP. Yeah, boy, I always get a kick out of a mix of equipment on this net. It's just classic stuff from all over the place, all over the world, including Canada, which is pretty cool. Anyway, Brown on the Meister 150, man, I've always wanted one of those. I've seen a few of them over the years. They're massive, they're huge, and they're just cool looking. The closest I've ever come to one is Hammerland HT9, which is similar. A similar sort of idea. Big, heavy, wide thing that pretty much takes up a whole desk by itself. And Dave, congratulations on the 160-meter contact. That's pretty awesome. That's one band I've never been on. I've always had to fight with local noise. And so I never even bothered to try 160. Maybe it's time to take a look at that. I do have a dipole for 160, but I've never put it up. I don't really think I have room to. And I was wondering if you talked to Jason about his TCS. I'm kind of curious about that. I remember when he was talking about it, when he was pretty excited to get it. Drove halfway across the country to get it too, so pretty cool. Anyway, the things I picked up this week were, it's a pretty long list. Anyway, top of the list, and probably the one thing I've never had before, is a Central Electronics 100V transmitter. I know a lot of people that have had them and they like them. Seem to be fairly reliable. And they have a common set of problems, most of the bearings in the dial system, and mine has that problem as well. But this thing is near mint. I mean, it's just beautiful from the outside, and chassis is dusty, but that's about it. Also picked up a TH39/UGT, which is an AFSK RIDI keyer. Never seen one of those before. It's also in really nice condition. One modification to it, which I've got to figure out, but I do have the manual, so that should be pretty easy to work on. The next two items are very, very useful to me, since I have so many R390s and such. And that is a pair of CV591As. Kind of rough looking, missing the tags, unfortunately. I hate getting stuff that's missing those beautiful identification tags, but that's the case with these. Already recapped one, and we'll test that later today. Let's see, what else? Anyway, that was all earlier in the week. Yesterday, I picked up a pair of R390As. Now, let me describe how I saw these things at first. They were in a dirty wheelbarrow, parts all over the place, front panels removed, modules removed, a moldy manual sitting on the top, partly covered in a tarp in the rain, so everything had gotten a little bit wet, not too bad. And I got them anyway. I really like R390s and 390As. I've had many, many over the years. And I thought, well, these are just going to be for parts. But unloading them, taking a closer look, and you know what? They're pretty much complete, except for a few small parts. And front panels will clean up very, very nicely. Only a couple scratches. So those are going on the bench starting tomorrow, I think. If you guys recall, a couple weeks ago, I completed an R390A, which somebody had taken the entire gearbox apart. The gears on these appear to be untouched, so that's one good thing, but they will need a lot of work. Something I am looking forward to a lot. So, anyway, what else? I don't know what else was thrown away. The guy at one time had a KWS-1. I doubt if that got tossed. It's probably in the house somewhere. I didn't see it, but I'm sure he held on to that. He really liked that thing. Let's see, I think that's about it. There's probably more missing, but anyway. So, we'll send it over to Bob, W6AQU, W6SSP.
Very good, thanks, Steve. W6SST, W6Able, Queen Uncle. Well, lots to comment on here. MS, when you first come on, your audio is absolutely fantastic. But the longer you talk, it seems to go that way a little bit. Little distortion or something. I'm wondering if anybody else has observed that, or it's just me. Excuse me. And Ron. Motorcycle QRM. Well, I'm glad you found something so close. MZR. You're just having all kinds of fun there with that new transmitter. I can hear it. Those are fantastic radios. And Bill, I can copy Half Moon Bay. I wish that, I don't know if you had another transmitter or whatever, but it'd be nice if you could run the more power over there. SST, that's quite a find. Those receivers were something else again. And I had been copying on Saturday mornings the RIDI from KPH that Richard runs down there at Point Reyes. And normally it's just a bunch of stuff about the mariners and the ships and the Union stuff, but yesterday it was all war news from what's going over there in the east. Quite interesting on what's happening there. All live on RTTY on 6.3 meg. MQI, 3 o'clock in the morning. Well, I'd like to do that, but it's cold to get up. Pango, American Samoa. I wonder if that's where you were talking to. Pango, that's on American Samoa. I'd been there back in the 50s when I was touring the world. That's quite a place, but that's a long ways. And you say you worked Okinawa. That's a real big military base there. And they used to be KR6. I don't know what it is now. I'm wondering, enlighten me on the Pango station. So with that, up to Livermore. W6MQI from W6AQU.
Let's see, W6AQU. Trying to tweak and peak here a little bit. I switched radios. I'm over on the GRC 106. Figure if Brown can get on a T195, I'll get up T1 my GRC 106. And conditions are good here. That was another reason I decided to get on the 106. It's pretty low noise this morning. Let's see. Yep, I'm ready for the dogfight. In January, I have my SCR 274s working. Although my 40-meter receiver has decided to die, so I got to figure out what's happened there. That's not going to affect the dogfight, but it has quit working. I think it slowly died, so I think maybe a tube decided to go belly up. 160, yeah, I only heard Okinawa and Japan. I did not work them, but I did work Samoa, and his call was 5 Whiskey 1 Sierra Alpha. I never did look him up. I should, I guess, find out where exactly he was. But that's that. And Steve, I did not get a hold of Jason yet. Talk to about his new TCK. I've been meaning to do it, but just haven't gotten around to it. I've been playing around with RF amplifiers, small ones, using IRF 510 transistors or MOSFETs, and I found a really good YouTube channel that goes from A to Z on how to design these things. So I've been watching that, and making notes and trying to learn how to use LT Spice simulation program. So that's kind of what I've been doing. Other than that, not much else. So hopefully you guys are copying me. I wasn't able to exactly tweak and peak my amplifier exactly, but it's real close. So over to, where's my list? Jerry, W6JRY, W6MQI.
Well, okay, Dave, W6MQI, group W6JRY. Everybody's great. Got good signals here this morning. Low noise. The rain here has knocked out some of my previous noise that I've had around here. It's still a bother, and haven't got, I know where it's at, but haven't got any cooperation with our local power company. But enough of that. Interesting subjects here right along. I can't believe everybody has Meissner signal shifter stories, and that was my first VFO. I still have it over here, one of the Meissner signal shifters, and it was in 1950 when I first got on the air, May 1950. I had a homebrew pair of 807s and a little Bud rack. In fact, my dad took me down to San Francisco right after I got my license, and I picked out a rig I wanted to build in the handbook, and we went down to Market Street, and he let me go through all the stores down there and find all the parts I wanted. And so that was my first transmitter on the air. It was a homebrew pair of 807s, and I had a crystal control set up for that. But then my first VFO was the Meissner signal shifter, and then a little later on in towards the end of 1950, I got an NBFM, narrowband FM unit for that, and I got on 10 meters. That was the first phone operation I had, was a narrowband FM unit. And that was back in the days when 10 meters was really good. I was running 100 watts, driving my homebrew 807s with a Meissner, and getting on voice with that unit. And had a lot of good contacts. I got in with a group on E-Skip. We talked every afternoon, later in the evening, on E-Skip, and there was a group down in Tucson, Arizona. A bunch of, about half of them were young people, about my age. And my first YL I worked was a 13-year-old. I was 15. She was 13 years old, living there in Tucson. And I had, they'd had her picture in CQ magazine. I had to dig through all my stuff and look that up, but had a lot of contacts with her. Don't know whatever become of her, but anyway, some fond memories with the Meissner signal shifter. So good stuff there. And Dave, okay, on the inverted L. That's what I still have and was using somewhat on 160 meters. I have two 160 meter dipoles here. They're exactly they're more of a inverted V setup, one east-west and the other north-south. So I did a lot of 160 work too. I've had 221 contacts on 160 CW. I guess I got started on 160 because it was our local kind of net band with the local radio club down in Chico, and so we all had homebrew, mobile 160 meter rigs, and our local net was on 160 meters. So I kind of got into the DX thing on 160 meters through the years, but not so much here lately. As like there is on a lot of the bands, there's a lot of the FT8, which I have not gained any interest in yet. Anyway, don't know if I will or not. I can't really get too excited about it, but digital modes are pretty popular nowadays. But that's progress, I guess. And Henry, great on the aircraft radio time there, coming up next month. And I have things to put on for that. I'm going to have to get them on the air and see if they still work. I've got a complete ARC 5 set up here and a complete 274N set up here. Although I got some problems. Another project I need to get to is a modulator on the 274N equipment is low audio out of it, probably some bad caps or something in it, so I'm going to have to go through that modulator. And Steve, great on all that equipment you acquired there. I haven't been acquiring much of anything lately. I've been getting rid of stuff. And let's see, what else? Just checking through my notes. Dave, okay on the GRC, back on the GRC 106, sounded good here. And see, next weekend, our Pearl Harbor Day coming up, and anybody's interested, there's going to be some crossband activity with the USS Iowa down at San Pedro, I think it is, and they're going to be on for 3 days. Crossband on about 4 different bands, using their original ship call. I don't have it written down right here, right? Lots of times on Armed Forces Day they do have a crossband operation. I've got on and done that quite a bit too. And most of my operations here lately have just been maybe looking around for interesting historical special events on the air, and got some cards and certificates in here lately on some really interesting ones. So anyway, I better not hold it much of any longer here and get it back up there to Henry, to the top there. I think I'm the dog wagging the tail here or something, last one. So back to net control there. Okay on your projects there, Henry. WA7YBS in the group, W6JRY.
6VXY, late check-in.
Vern, where have you been? K6VXY. Go ahead and make a transmission, Vern. Of course, you're not exactly checking into the 73 round, but you're pretty darn close. K6VXY, turn it back to me when you've done with your transmission. This is WA7YBS. Go ahead, Vern.
Well, thanks, Henry, for letting me in. Let's see, how much power am I running today? It doesn't show. Oh, there. Oh, about 90 watts. Okay. Yeah, I had to run a bunch of cables around. I got an old, this K6VXY Vern, Groveland or Pine Mountain Lake, which you prefer, running IC 7200 by request into my SB200 heat kit, and got a kick out of Jerry saying he got into ham radio in 1950. I thought I was one of the older ones. Maybe that's with the group I'm associated with up here in Tuolumne County. But they're having I started in January of 57. That's where I got the first license. But anyhow, what I wanted to say real quick is our group is having its Christmas party today at 1:30 in the afternoon, which gives me a chance to get there on time. And I was fixing up, or trying to fix up, my old TS 140 here, because they're having a kind of a raffle. But it doesn't work on 80 at all. I made some contacts using it on 10 meters, and seems to be okay in a lot of ways. It sure looks nice, but there's something seriously wrong on 80 meters with it, because it draws 30 amps, and has something shorted out there. Works on 40 and stuff like that.
But anyhow, we're getting some work done here. And I'm going to bring my squirrel badge to the club meeting. It's actually a semi-club meeting. It's mainly we're having turkey and stuff for dinner, and we're bringing some side dishes. Everybody's bringing a side dish. But that aside, it was nice to hear you. Then I heard MQI is real strong. The signals are all about 10 to 20 over. Very good conditions. And I've got to do a little more antenna work here, talking about projects. I've added some things for antennas, and the hole that goes into the stucco in the side of our house, I got to drill it. We'll drill masonite. I'm going to make it a little bigger because I've got a last couple antennas going through the window, which isn't good. So that'll be fun. I got to pull all the cables through the thing, and I might try and get some sort of pipe or something, because right now I got to put the wires or the cables through the coax of stucco, and then luckily I reached the coax other end. I've got a ground wire I probably can use to feed it, but there's a big gap, you know, with the sheetrock and then to the stucco. So I've been trying to see if I can get some sort of pipe to go through there, or ideally a oval-shaped thing. That's going to be a fun project. And the antenna's holding up. Squirrels are out there. I'm bringing my squirrel badge to the meeting today, the potluck, and but they're not bothering the trees that I've got that aluminum foil, or I guess it's some sort of aluminum wrap. It's about 10 to 12 inches thick, and I guess I saw one, a month or two ago, and it just looks at it. It's enough that they don't want to try and go up there, and they haven't gone from tree to tree to get to it, so that part's good. So yeah, thanks for letting me in, Henry, and I'll try and make it quick, which I didn't do a real good job of yet, but I'll send it back to you. I don't know what it is. I haven't been on. I checked the log for 4 weeks, and that's kind of unusual. And I'm not able to get up. Last Sunday I was up, looked around, and says, "Oh cow, it's 8:45." I'm sleeping in. It must be the winter weather. And we're getting some rain here. It's wet outside, but it's not much. It's just what you'd call a trace, or maybe 1/10 of an inch of rain. So good morning to all, and I'll kick it back to Henry. This is K6VXY in Groveland, California.
Okay, Vern, you're number 10, so you'll get another shot in the 73 round. So good to hear from you. Glad everything is okay down there in Groveland. And let's see. I got a question from Mike. It is where I got my Meissner signal shifter. And see if you recognize the call of who I got it from. And it's W7IND. W7IND. I paid $8 for it, and it was it's a real nice one. And I got 12 sets of coils with it for $8. So that tells you when it was. It was quite a long time ago. But anyway, see if you recognize that call, W7IND. It's still probably on QRZ. But anyway, you're the only one that would probably recognize the call. Let's see. Let's do the 73 round, and everybody's still here, so we'll go through the whole round. 73 round, everybody. So let's start up there with Chuck, K0DWC, WA7 YBS.
Okay, Henry. All right, WA7 YBS, K0DWC. Okay, well, good morning, Vern. Glad you made it there, man. Better late than never, as they say, right? You got a great signal in here this morning, Vern. Sounding good. And Dave, the GRC 106 sounds fantastic over here. Great job on that. And Vaughn, same with the T195, man. That thing sounds really good over here this morning. And Hope you can come back soon and join us. I know you only got 4 more days here on the left coast. When you go to the right coast, you know, and I'm sure you got equipment over there as well. So looking forward to having you back with us again, and hope you have a safe trip back east. Let's see, Steve, great on the projects with the Central Electronics 100V. I've heard that's a pretty good transmitter. I've heard it's got a few quirks, but I guess in the long run it's very doable, and besides that, they're really neat looking. So congratulations on that and the other equipment that you got. And sorry to hear about all that stuff getting thrown out. That's awful. Man, oh man, thousands of tubes. That's a tragic deal. There, it really is. But anyway. I'll say my 7.3s are very good net today, very good conditions, a lot of diverse equipment, which is kind of a tradition here on our net, and really proud of that. Proud of you guys for all that great stuff, and hope everybody comes back next weekend. I'll be net control next weekend, and we will talk to you then. So, Henry, I'll give you a call later this afternoon and see what's going on there, and we'll talk to you later. So 7.3s, guys, and we'll send it over to Mike, W7MS, in the group, K0DWC. 7.3s, guys, thanks again.
Well, thank you, Chuck. K0DWC and the vintage military net, W7MS, or I always keep changing the names, Henry. My apologies. Hopefully it doesn't bother anybody, but I'm always slipping some new pronoun or verb into the description of the net. But still good signals. Comments on Dave. The GRC 106 sounds fantastic. Initially, you must have had the microphone somewhat near the amplifier, because, or maybe that was just to give us the heads up. I heard that noise, but a change to a non-carbone microphone really sounds good, other than upper sideband, which is not transparent to me with this barn door RCAF receiver. It does sounds really good. So nice to hear that that change, and propagation is good. Chuck, you bet. Can't wait for the dogfight, and good luck on your sprucing the lineup and getting that prepared. And before I forget, Henry's comments, W7IND, was it Bob Kirk? And I've got a Bob story from about 10 years ago at Brad's swap meet. I won't tell it on the air because it might be mutually embarrassing, or maybe somewhat reflect negatively on my character. But it was a good one. But we'll save that for an eyeball, and you may have already heard it, but it was precious, my interfacing with W7IND. So congratulations on the $8 save. And even then, he was probably commenting how he could have sold it for $15 at Dayton. That was usually the response from Bob. But good job on the save, and all the stories on Meisner signal drifters, TVI generators, and experiences running those puppies on various bands and in various applications. A lot of commonality here with the old Meisners, isn't it? And let me see. Hello, very good morning to you and the Rodents and your Christmas party. They're not going to waste any time booking that early in the month, but at least these days it could have easily been before Thanksgiving, the way the Christmas season starts. So good to hear you this morning. Good signal. And of course, Brown's comments, and boy, hopefully he'll be here for the dogfight, just by coincidence, or maybe you can schedule some project inspection activities for the West Coast here, coincident with that weekend. And Bill, good morning to you. As always, Steve, great. I was chuckling at all of Steve's Hall comments, and maybe a little bit about what got away. But I saw Steve in action at Lincoln, where I think he left his pile of purchase and free stuff was twice as large as his for sale there at the Lincoln swap on AMI is out and about. He's recording this net for YouTube, so we'll be able to listen to it firsthand. But all comments are appreciated, so thank you. And Jerry, again, great to hear you. We also know that when you are absent, it's basically personal or slash cold track conditions, but doing quite well this morning. And I will mention, this is the old gotcha, what did I do wrong in a previous life, but working on these PRC 316 Special Forces radios, I had modified the well-worn field unit, one of the two, to be powered, or at least excited by an external clock generator, a programmable clock generator that's driven by an Arduino microcontroller. Had it all done, got the levels tweaked up to about 0.8 volts peak to peak, which it seemed to drive fine. Tuned around on 75 and 40 meter in the CW portions. It was kind of nice to listen to folks on that set. No AGC, so you do have to ride the gain control. But worked quite well, and put it all together, and then powered it up, and no worky. And now it runs on an inverter. It requires a 0 to 100 volts to tune the varactors. There are no that is the variable C in that unit. It's all varactor, and that crapped out. So it's kind of like, you know, it may have had a bad experience in the Falklands War there, serving in the British infantry. I don't know. It just hates me. So we'll probably replace that switching transistor and hopefully cross our toes and fingers that it will continue to work into the far future, but who knows. But it's only amateur radio, so 7.3s, and also hello to Carla. Always nice to hear her voice modulation from the kitchen, Chuck. So thanks again. Over to Ron, NU6F, W7MS.
Okay, good deal, Mike. And yes, it's much nicer hearing everybody over the speaker, even though I do have my other bogey noise showed back up, the one that's every 10 kc throughout the band here on 80. But like I said before, it's manageable. I've been thinking with the noise canceller, and I can kind of ride most of it out. But it's pretty much throughout all Lemon Valley. It's so widespread. I drove all around here. But anyhow. And Mike, okay, on the dead varactor, and that's interesting. It was on the British side of the Falklands War, and then we had the PRC 174 was with the Argentina side of the war. Well, and speaking of which, if anyone happens to see any modules or junk radios for sale for the 174, I'm looking for parts and pieces. There is one issue with it that every other octave range is down in power by 3 dB, and but anyhow, it's I'm thinking it's in the that switchable filter network and the auto tuner, and it's all tied together. But I think I have it approach, so I'm going to try to see what that might be. But anyhow, looking around, the modules are drying up. The guy that had a bunch of them, I asked for one specific module, and no, he didn't have any more. Anyhow, Meisner signal shifter, boy, we ever talk about that? And then when Jerry mentioned his pair of 807s with his first VFO rig being the Meisner signal shifter driving those, I had a pair of 6146s that I cobbled together with the Meisner signal drifter driving that. And yeah, so I guess everybody's got a Meisner story. And Steve, holy cow, another pair of R390s. But then to find out that you had all the parts and pieces, yeah, did they throw the wheelbarrow in? If they had thrown the wheelbarrow in, I would have jumped on that too. And okay, on the CE100, I didn't even think I ever saw any. I had a CE10, or the 20. I can't remember. I had one of those for a while back in. But yeah, boy, all that good stuff. And yeah, Dave, I'm still impressed on the 160 meters from Livermore. Wow. You know, I didn't think you'd be able to. That antenna must really be working fantastic for you. So it's a no compromise antenna. I have to say that. And Brown, yeah, hopefully you can get some more operating time in. Fire up the rest of the radios while you're out here. Keep Radio Free Dixon on the air. Vern, the squirrel report. You know, you mentioned drilling a hole through the stucco so you can make some other antenna runs. Right off the bat, I figured the squirrels are looking for that. I wouldn't make that hole too big. No way. Stuff some steel wool around it, because if they can't get to the ropes on the antennas, they're going to get in the house. Then the XYL is going to be on your case. So that's the least of your problems, is just getting through the wall. It's what's going to come through it afterwards. And, okay, we'll stand by, you know, for the shootout. I haven't got anything except for the ART-13, but Mike, I think, is probably going to take away the prize on the dogfight. All right, with that, 73s, guys, we'll catch you later, and I'll pass it down to Brown, W1NZR, and U6F.
Okay, Ron, very good. N6, NU6F, W1NZR. Well, very good on all. Signal's holding up pretty well. Thank you for the comments. Chuck, yes, I do have plenty of equipment on the East Coast. In fact, last Saturday, I was running the MIL-RAD, the East Coast MIL-RAD net, 3885 at ODART 30 on Saturday, and we had a check-in from Chino. And so propagation's been pretty good. I had wanted to get up yesterday morning to try it from here, but I know my antenna isn't sufficient for that. So anyway, not much more from here. Always a pleasure. Henry, thank you for running the net. Actually, I'm probably a little bit off frequency, and I was just trying to zero the T195 to do the 0B routine, and I wasn't getting any response from it. So the PTO coupling must have slipped loose or become loose, because I can't seem to adjust the frequency. Fortunately, it was stuck on 3975, plus or minus a few cycles. Anyway, thanks for putting up with my insanity. I'll bid you all a pleasant holiday season. I will hopefully be back in January, if not before the 20th. I'll look forward to the aviation shootout. And Henry, again, thank you very much, as always. And again, all of you fellows for getting this fine equipment on the air. Oh yeah, and good morning to Vern. Great signal into Dixon this morning, Vern. And Jerry, very nice to hear those classic rigs you've got. Okay, it goes down to Bill. N6, BCT. And I'm doing the same thing that Mike does. I changed the name. I'm calling this the MIL-RAD net, which is what I call the East Coast net, but I don't know. I hope you won't ostracize me for such activities. Down to you, Bill. N6, Bravo Charlie Tango from W1NZR, saying good morning.
Bravo Charlie Tango, and we'll let you know what's on site, whether we've got the earphones or headphones working on the computer or not. So I'll be able to relay the next information necessary. So I'm sending you 70 days for the going to W6SSP and 6 on.
Okay, Bill, I think you turn it over to me. N6BCT W6SSP. I'll pause for a second. Yeah, I think I've got it. Anyway, yeah, I forgot to comment on the pile of stuff I got. I was originally supposed to get an REO receiver. It turns out it's an REO 7, which is a really good one, has a pan adapter output. And I just happen to have a pan adapter. But in talking to the fellow when I went to pick up some of the other equipment, he said for some reason the day before he had taken the REO out of its cabinet and promptly dropped it on the floor from his bench, face down. He said there was no damage, but he said he wanted to put it back together before I got it. So I may end up with that thing one of these days. We'll see. I don't really need it. I've got the RBH1, and that's probably enough. If it comes my way, that's great. Better than having it go to recycle. Let's see. Oh, Jerry, thank you very much for the heads up on the USS Iowa. I had a good chat with them last time I was in Dayton, which was about 10 years ago. That's when I was still working on the transmitter project out at KPH of Bolinas. And boy, I had a good talk with those guys. They talked to KPH a number of times, I guess, and they had a wonderful setup, showing all kinds of gear, and I think they even had some of the technical manuals that you could look at for the equipment, which is really nice. I got to talk to one guy that did restoration of much of the older radio gear, which they were using occasionally at the time. I don't know if they still do or not. So I'll listen for them next weekend. And Dave and Mike, you know, as far as room here goes, it's downright embarrassing. I don't really invite people anymore to go into the garage or shop. I ran out of room years ago, admittedly, and up until yesterday I had 2 narrow paths into the shop, and the wife has a name for getting to the shop, and so you have to do a crab walk to get there. And one of those paths is now full of R390As and CV591s and a bunch of other stuff, so we're down to one path, and I guess when that gets filled up, that's when I'll stop. But it's hard not to acquire things that you know are going to get trapped, especially if it's nice stuff like this. So it's a sickness, I admit it, but you know what, as far as sicknesses go and bad habits, it's probably one of the better ones, at least I think so. So conditions have held up very, very well today, which is nice. Thank you for handling the net, Henry, and we'll say 73 to everybody. See you all next weekend. Over to Bob, W6AQU, W6SSP, 73 all.
Very good. Thanks, Steve. This is W6AQU. Well, a lot of interesting comments here, but the only thing I want to throw out is I had a Miser signal shifter / drifter back in the early 50s, and yeah, that was a good name for him. Just keep a knob, hand on that knob as they will move. I tried mine on 20 meters, and now it was a beautiful looking box, though, wasn't it? Quite large. That was a fun thing, I guess, to look at. Well, that all say 7-3s to all. Look for everybody next week. But down there to Livermore, W6MQI. This is W6 Able Queen Uncle Montague, 7-3s to all.
Alright, W6AQU, W6MQI. Alrighty, guys. Excuse me. Yep, I'm gonna get out of here. Next 1 hour, I can go down and get some breakfast. I forgot to mention, Mike, at least I think I did, I received the package safe and sound, so actually I did. He told me to keep them. So anyway, one of these days I'll get on that other amplifier and see if I can get it working again. I found out that the 106 that I'm using now does not transmit on 160 meters. So it's not the push-to-talk's not working, so there's something wrong, but yeah, it's going to be low on the priority list to fix. I'm not going to get to that anytime soon. I got other stuff going on. So, anyway, 73, everybody, and talk to you guys next week. Over to Jerry, W6JRY, W6MQ.
Okay, Dave, W6MQI in the group W6JRY. Band conditions are still very good. Things haven't started to drop out hardly at all. Can't really, I don't have a level meter on this RBM, but it's just still everybody coming in here good. Roger everybody's comments on everything there. Don't have much of anything else here, so I'll say 73s. Oh, good morning to you, Vern. You're counting in up the mountain ranges from the south, down there in Groveland to me, up here in Forest Ranch. Good signal. And trying to check my notes here. I guess we wore the Meissner signal shifter out thing. Oh, I'm kind of taking it what you said. You got a set of coils. I remember the older ones had plug-in coils, didn't they? That's probably the one you're talking about, Henry. The Meissner signal shifter with the plug-in coils. The one I have is a silver-paneled one, I think a later one, and it has the band switch on it that has the rotary coil assembly unit there. Haven't had that thing on the air for years and years. Probably still don't work. And it's got the I-type tube, in the upper center of it there. Okay, 73's to all. Henry, thanks for taking the net, and I'll say good morning to everybody, and hope to see you all later on. So over to you there, Vern. K6VXY and the group. 73s is W6JRY.
Okay, thank you, Jerry. W6JRY and the group, K6VXY. A comment to NU6F there. That was cute. Steel wool, that's a good idea. To stuff some around the outside and the inside, because I'm trying to make it kind of an odd shape. What I have in there now is I've got some paper towel stuffed in at both ends, and it hasn't been a problem, but that's a good point. We're going to get some work done here in the next month or two. We're going to put in something to stop this water from coming down toward the house. We're on a hill here. It's no surprise, being in Pine Mountain Lake, that there's a hill involved in your property. But we're going to have it put up a cement wall behind us, like maybe 2 to 3 feet, and then we're going to have some drain to force the water off to the side of the house, which we did last winter when we got all the rain. But what we did is pretty much filled up. I just got the top with the hole through the mud, and that's pretty much filled up. But that's it on that. And yeah, I got a special. They gave me a special down at the Ace Hardware store. They gave me a special. What is it called? It's a drill. It's a kind of a drill that goes through masonite. And I got the heavy-duty version. It's still less than $10. It's a half inch, so I'm just going to use that sort of like a router, not a rotor rooter, but I have one of these little handheld hand reamers for making holes bigger in metal or wood or whatever I want to use it on. So that's going to be a fun project, get that done right. Because it's been kind of a cherry rig, like a lot of stuff around here. 73's all, nice talking to you. Your signals, I did listen to most all of you on the TS-140, and I'll listen again at the end here when Murray takes it over, but the signals are pretty strong on that, so the receiver's working. They're all about the same, if not stronger. but the signal-to-noise is nowhere near as good. Its filtering is wide open. It's probably like listening to this net if you had an old AM radio that tuned shortwave, but it's harder to hear with all the static coming through. So 73s to all, and that's Chuck and Mike and Jerry and Bill. I don't have all the names written down. AQU, yeah, up in Montague. Boy, your signal is really good. Anyhow, back to you, Henry. And 73s to all of you. I didn't write all the names down, and I'm still waking up. That's why you haven't heard me lately. It's hard to get up. WA7 YBS Henry, thanks for letting me in here. This is K6 VXY. Back to you.
Okay, Vern. K6VXY, WA7YBS. Okay. And, yeah, Jerry, the signal shifter that I have is about 1940, or so it's pre-World War II. And, yeah, uses 3 plug-in coils to change. And like I say, I got about a dozen coil sets. So, frequency mobility is not a problem. Even with the coils plugged in, the frequency still is mobile. So, you know, they are. But at any rate, yeah, and I knew Mike would recognize the call. I knew he would. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the Bob Kirk story. There's a zillion of them. There are. And so anyway, with that, we'll go ahead and close the net. And Brown, you can call the net whatever you want. I like MIL-RAD net. I think that's a good name for it. In fact, I use it once in a while. And Mike, whatever you want to call the net, as long as you check in, you can call it whatever you want. With that, we'll say 73 to all. Everybody have a good week coming up. Chuck will be net control next week. So we'll hope to hear all of you back then. So with that, this is WA7YBS closing the Vintage Military Radio Net, the MIL-RAD net, or whatever you want to call it. And we'll say 73 all around and sign off.